That is absolutely true. New spaces can be exciting and immediately impactful. But I think before we get to how they maintain their relevancy, I think it's important just to take a step back and talk about what should happen before those spaces open. And I think that there are two things here. I think the first one is a very clear change management process. Because, when you create change within a school community, obviously some members of that community will immediately embrace the change, will be excited about the change, especially if they believe their voices have been heard. Others might be slightly more fearful, and they might be concerned about the fact that this is going to change the way they teach or change the way they learn, and they might be apprehensive about that. So it's important to recognize that. It's important to manage that through consultation, through communication, and to have a proper change management process in place. Part of this change management is also about professional development and training. So if you are expecting, for example, staff to be teaching in a different way, to be integrating new ways of teaching and learning, then that needs to be discussed ahead of and concurrently with the space change, so that when the new space is open, there aren't any surprises. They know what to expect, and then gradually they can begin to make that space their own. Obviously then, what's also important is once the space is open, don't be too protective of the space. I think we as architects are quite guilty of that. It's like, well, I've designed the sofas to be in that position, they should stay there. But no, absolutely not. I think what's important is that the stakeholders have agency over that new space. They can have an impact on it. They can move furniture around. Maybe they can have an impact on the walls, writable walls, or hanging up examples of work. But it's important that they feel ownership over the space, because if they start to feel ownership, then they will start to be comfortable, and that will actually support the teaching and learning. I think also one of the most important things is to give it time, to allow all the users to embed themselves, to find their feet. As much as we as architects would like to think that there's a perfect design, no such thing exists. There's no perfect design, there's no perfect building. So I think it's really important, once users have got into the building and a certain amount of time has elapsed, say about 6 months, it's important to perform a post-occupancy evaluation, to look at what's working, what's not working, and not to be scared of saying what's not working, and thinking about potentially ways the building might be changed or enhanced to more fully support the learning culture that a school might be trying to achieve. Don't be scared of change. Obviously schools change, individuals change, and learn. And believe it or not, buildings can learn as well. Buildings change over time, and it's important to recognize that it's not a fixed and static solution. There's always a way of creating change to make the space better. I think most importantly what schools can do though is really kind of love their spaces, protect their spaces, look after them, because they're so important. They are there to support, to stimulate, and to house your precious school community.